Okay, we're going to start with needle felting. First thing you're going to need is this needle. Okay, it's not like a sewing needle. You see one end looks like that, and the other end is super duper sharp, very pointy, and then there's these little barbed little pieces that stick off. A little bit hard to see here in the image. But if you look closely, you'll see these little notches on there. Okay, and then that's what's going to grab the fiber. Okay, so when you get your needle from the Fiber Art Center, I want to make sure that you're walking across the classroom with your block, this piece of foam, and then take your needle and stick it in the side. So if anybody walks past you, you're not sticking with your needle like this, and then someone bumps it and then knocks it off. Okay? Alright, so as we're storing, always poke it in the side. So something you can do with needle felting is something like this. So this is a little case that I made, like a little phone case or a card case. And this design right here is the fibers, the raw yarn. It gets pushed into it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so this is the stuff that's called roving. So this is raw yarn that has not been spun into what you know as yarn. Okay, so when you take this, you don't want to pull too tight like this. You just loosely grab a piece like this. Okay, so I've added this piece. This is a piece of wool. It's actually an old sweater. You can go to the thrift store, buy a sweater, make sure it says wool on the label, take it home, put it in your washing machine. And the way you felt things is to have friction, so things rubbing together, and in your washing machine, hot water and soap. So it's going to shrink. So if you've ever washed a sweater and you accidentally shrunk it into a little kid size, that's because you just felted it. Alright, so that's what I do. That's how I get these pieces. So you can do this at home. Alright, so we're going to take some of this roving, and I'm just going to make a long skinny piece. So sometimes you can fold it up to make it to the size you want. Okay, and just hold it in place. Okay, get your needle, and you want to go up and down. And you're going to start pushing these fibers of the roving straight down into your wool. And as you get better, you can go faster. You want to make sure that you're going straight up and down, not at a diagonal. If you go at a diagonal, you can easily break that needle. These needles are really, really fragile. Okay, so you just keep jabbing, jabbing, jabbing until those fibers get pushed through. Okay, store that on the side. So you can check it, and you'll notice as I start to pull this off, the fibers actually get stuck into the foam. Alright, and if you look at the back side, you can see those fibers have been pushed through. I would still say this is pretty fluffy and it's not done. So depending on what you want it to look like, sometimes they're really puffy and sometimes they're really, really pushed through. So I'm going to do a little bit more. So again, straight up and down. Okay, so I'm going to take another piece, just a small amount of this roving, kind of ball it up a little bit. I'm going to make like a little petal, so I'm making a plant, flower. Okay, so obviously you have to be really careful because this thing is sharp and watch where your fingers are. So you can work keeping your finger around the edges, and then as you get a little further you can start to push those fibers into the place where you want them. And then once you get going, you really don't need to hold it. I can keep my fingers pretty far back. As you go, you might pull some of the pieces from the edge and notice that the piece is getting, this little turquoise area is getting much smaller because those fibers are getting pushed down and it's not so fluffy anymore. It looks like an eye or a candle. Straight up and down, that's pretty much it. You can do anything that you can draw, you can make. You can do letters, you could do numbers, you can make a picture. It could be linear lines, or it can be filled in like this, like a shape. And that is how you needle felt.